Namaste. Welcome to Sipping on Stories podcast. I'm your host Irene, and this is where we welcome women healers and spiritual leaders from all around the world to come and share their journeys and their experiences with us. And of course, we do them over warm cups and deep thoughts. For those who have been enjoying our podcast episodes so far, thank you so much for showing your love. And for those who are new to this channel, welcome. Please like and subscribe so we can continue sharing this love. Thank you. Hi, Namaste Ashmeeta. Welcome to Sipping on Stories podcast. I am very happy to have you here today, and thank you for joining us. And please tell us where you're joining us from, and tell us the choice of beverage you've got for us today too.
Well, I'm from Pune, India, and it's a small city in India, and it's a beautiful city. The weather here is great almost all year long. That's why I love it. It's not my hometown, but I shifted here after college, and I am not able to go back because the weather conditions, everything here is so beautiful. And I've got some almond milk coffee with me, so I'm going to enjoy that while we speak.
Great, awesome. I've just got hot water today, so I think enough caffeine for me today. So I thought I'll go with hot water.
But I love your cup. It is so beautiful.
Thank you so much. This is like a highlight of our show, the cup actually, the Sipping on Stories. So if you see the intro video that we have made for Sipping on Stories, it kind of highlights on the cup. So it's a star of the show.
Love
Thank you.
it.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you so much. And I think today we are here to kind of discuss what Akashic Records are all about. So what I'm going to do is begin with playing a little game with you, where I will ask you 5 top myths that I've come across Akashic Records. That is either because I have read something on the internet or I've heard my friends talk about it. So there are a few myths, and sometimes when you do look up information online, there's so much information out there. Sometimes you don't know what to trust, but if it's coming from a person who has years and years of experience like yourself, I thought, why not? So first one is, an Akashic record reading is a past life reading only.
Well, that's an interesting myth that we got there, but Akashic Records is filled with so many possibilities, like the possibilities are endless. Literally, the Akashic Records or the Akashic field is unlimited possibilities, right? It takes you to this cosmic realm where anything and everything is possible. So whether it's going into the past or into the future, or exploring the present life and what are the current present blocks in your life right now, or it is going out to the higher dimensional realms, meeting your spirit guide, meeting your past loved ones, or meeting with the angels and the ascended masters. Anything and everything is possible within the records. We can have activations of certain spiritual gifts that we may carry at the soul level, but they may be lying dormant. So a lot is possible, right? So past life is just one part of it. It is a good major chunk of it, but it's just one aspect of it. Because as we clear the past lives and the present life, we can more easily move towards our highest timeline, our highest destiny, right? So to be able to see our highest destiny in the records, or to be able to align to the highest destiny, we got to first clear the junk and clear the old and clear the past. So it really helps us move forward, but it's not the only thing that we can discover.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because in my understanding, when I think about what is an Akashic record, and you can correct me here, and is that it's literally like a library of your past, of your present, your future, and it's literally a journey of your soul. It's like a library of records is what's going to happen on an energetic level, right? Is that right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. The Akashic records are like an infinite library of your soul. It consists of all the information about your soul, from past, present to future possibilities, and everything basically that is possible within the field and within the space. And we can like go into this library, pick one particular book, read one particular page of the book, and understand more about our soul's journey. So It's something like that. And for each one, the library looks different. For example, when I enter my records, my library is filled with crystals. So it's a crystal library. For anyone else, it might be like an ancient library. For some people, it might be like a Harry Potter library. So completely depends on how your soul expresses itself.
Yeah. All right. Brilliant. And the second myth I've got here is Akashic records can't be changed.
That is not true because Akashic records are forever changing based on the choices that we make in our lives.
Mm,
So had everything been fixed in our lives, then there won't be anything left to evolve. If our destiny was completely fixed, right? We do have the free will to change and shift our destiny, and especially the way we respond to life.
mm,
And once we change and shift the way and we respond from a more evolved space, our life journey, our life destiny starts to change and shift accordingly.
that's interesting. I've heard that, sometimes you've just given a script, your destiny is just decided, and you're just a character, you're playing a part, and you're just playing that script out, like you would do in a play, in a theater. So, and there is a concept of free will on the other hand, right? And I feel like these two kind of subjects are, you can make an entire podcast on these two subjects, but what is your kind of take on when it does come to to destiny and free will? Where do you kind of stand?
So I feel that there is definitely a lot of the instances in our lives that are fixed. They are
Mm,
predefined. So let's say before coming here, our soul chooses the challenges it wants to experience in order to learn, in order to evolve and reach to the next level of the game.
mhm,
So let's say that we come on Earth to experience contrast. Earth as a planet offers us the experience of black and white, dark and light, good and bad, cold and hot, right?
mhm,
So it is the planet where we're currently experimenting how it would be if we have both the contrasts existing in extremes and in balance, right? So when we choose to come in here in the Earth experiment, we also choose what challenges we might want to take on or what kind of lessons we might want to learn. And based on that, our soul chooses a different, like a set of parents that it would like to be born with, the ancestral lineage that it would like to be born into, also the date and time it would like to be born in. So that's where the astrological destiny plays a part. Let's say a person is born on a particular date and a particular time. It sort of gives us a loose skeletal structure of how the person is, how their soul will interact in this lifetime, but that's only one part of it.
yeah.
Because while we have a lot of predestined events that may happen in accordance to the astrological destiny, when we evolve and when we become more aware and when we move on to the path of our spiritual purpose, we
Mm,
start seeing that we begin to transcend our astrological destiny. What was written in the astrological destiny may not match anymore with the soul's journey because they're making different choices. For
mm,
example, they may have come here to learn self-love, and
mm,
for that, they be born in a household where they had to like get a lot of criticism on a daily basis. They would be body shamed on a daily basis, mistreated, and that's the way they learn self-love finally,
mm,
right?
mm,
They face a particular challenge and that becomes their breaking point. And during that time, instead of going into the downward spiral, they choose to awaken.
okay.
When they choose to awaken in that particular challenge itself, they no longer need to go through the same classes of self-love. They no longer need to face the same kind of abuse in their lives. So
Mm,
their astrological destiny might say, this person is going to suffer all lifelong with respect to their relationships. That might change, right?
mm.
So
Yeah.
um, that might completely shift and they may actually get into a very aligned relationship and evolve and like create a very beautiful life for themselves.
Yeah.
So that's why some instances are predestined, some of them are created by our own free will. That's why we say that we create our own destiny. So
Mm,
we have a lot of role to play
mm.
in creation of that destiny.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think like universe has such a weird way of teaching us lessons. Like sometimes even to be aware of this as a person, as a human, is hard. And you would agree there are a lot of people out there that who are not aware of what's happening. They're simply living because they have a body, they have a heart pumping blood, they have a brain to think. So it's very on a human level, but not everyone wants to get a bit deeper and understand what's happening. So I think that's a very good message also for people to start thinking, beyond just your mind and body. There's more to this as well. So it's beautifully put. The third myth I've got here is Akashic Records can tell you about your future.
Well, it can. So that may not be a myth completely,
Mm-hmm.
because it can tell you about your future, but future is not fixed. So you can change it and shift it. For example, you can move into the records and discover that currently with my present energies right now, this is where it's leading me. This is my next milestone. But
Mm-hmm.
if I'm feeling that I want a bigger milestone, I want to achieve more, or I
Mm-hmm.
want to move on to a greater goal in my life, then we could ask in the records that what can we do to align to that greater milestone or that goal. And then the Akashic records will present us with ways to do that. And if we follow through with that, our destiny can change and shift. So future is never fixed. It is filled with unlimited possibilities, and we can choose to align to whatever possibility or timeline that we are feeling most aligned to, in co-creation with the divine. So not from an egoic space, but
Mm-hmm.
consulting with our divine essence. And
Mm-hmm.
from that space of consultation, if we find that, okay, we can, move to the next level without taking so much time. And this is what we need to learn to be
Mm-hmm.
able to do that. Let's say something as simple as if you practice more gratitude, you can shift your energy and frequency, and then this goal will come to you with a greater ease. So then you practice that, it will happen and you will see it coming to you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
future is never fixed. It's filled with possibilities, but it is possible to see your future. There are so many times I have progressed into a future timeline to connect with my future self and receive from her. And to be honest, the kind of mentorship I have received from my future self, I have not received from any other human being, because she's literally able to see where I am, and I can see the potential of where I can be. And so to communicate with my potential,
Mm-hmm.
of what I can be, she becomes my greatest guide in that particular case. And she can help me navigate through certain basic confusions that I may be having, even in my life or business. For example, is it aligned for me to go forward with this particular vendor in my business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she can give me a future view of how that would work out, or whether that's even needed or not.
Mm. Yeah,
So,
that's very interesting. And the one that you call the divine is, are you referring to your higher self? So when you look at your future, is this what your higher self? Because or your subconscious, I know that your soul knows that chosen, and your parents, your siblings, and every kind of family member that you kind of pick and choose in this life has a role to play in your own learning, in your own growing. So when you say this divine, are you kind of saying that this future self of yours is more of your higher self that you connect with?
no, my future self would be the version of me that is living in that particular timeline that I want to align to.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 5 years from now, let's say I'm becoming a doctor, and 5 years from now, I'll complete my degree. So I will communicate with the future self who's living in that timeline, who's completed that particular degree. And I can communicate and ask her, how did you move through your college life? How did you move through your degree? How did you manage through challenges? And I can take guidance from her. Then, of course, is my higher self. So my higher self gives me more of a helicopter view,
Mm-hmm.
and my future self gives me more of that timeline view that I want to align to.
It's more
So
specific.
it's more specific. It's like, because beyond this third dimensional space, there is no space and time. So everything is happening all at once. So
Yes.
I'm communicating with that person who is living in that future timeline 5 years from now. So she is my, point to have
Mm.
a conversation. with. My higher self will give me more of a higher perspective on everything. And then, of course, is source, which is, one for
Mm,
all. So our higher self is most connected to the source. So it's like the source is here and our higher self is right there,
mm,
right? Observing us from that higher space and a higher dimension.
mm.
And of course, we merge with the source and we can experience a lot of oneness from that space.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting. And um, before I kind of move on to the fourth myth, the one thing I want to kind of comment is that sometimes people are very hard on themselves. They kind of beat themselves up for certain things or situations. And it's important that we understand that, yes, we have our destiny and there's a reason why we are here and we have chosen certain things to be a part of this journey to learn. So I think kind of blaming oneself and kind of just um, I mean, if blaming oneself is not good enough, and I feel like you need to move ahead and see a broader picture for this and why that is happening, and reflect within. So I think it's a message, if you would, agree that for some people, don't be too hard on yourself because there's a divine plan for everything and you're here for a sole purpose. So, and this is a script that's kind of written out. And of course, you've got your free will to play a part in that. But everything's kind of scripted out. So just go with the flow. Don't be too hard on yourself. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And I wish I have, had told this to my younger self because I was kind of exploring and it has come with a lot of experiences that I have, maybe seen or experienced, seeing my loved one experience. So this has come with a lot of learning. And though it kind of sounds like a very simple advice, yet it is quite depthful. There's a lot of depth in it.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. So while there is, like I said, like so much is scripted out, there is so much possibility for more
Mm,
as well. So
yeah.
remembering that also helps us be in balance between flow and action
Mm,
and will, like personal will and power. Yeah.
agree. All right. So the fourth myth I've got here is Akashic records are difficult to access. Also, not everyone can access the records.
Well, I would say it totally depends on your self-beliefs and how you see yourself. If you are someone who says, I find it so hard to meditate, I'm not able to close my eyes, I'm not able to sit quietly, then of course, accessing it will be difficult for you because if you're saying something is difficult, it will be.
Hmm.
It's not going to be easy. But if you say it's easy for me to connect and it's easy for me to connect to the higher cosmic realms, then it will become easy. You create your own reality in that case, right? So if in case you are in that space that you feel that I'm not able to connect myself, then you of course ask for support and help. But if you wish to master the connection and if you wish to work towards it, you
Hmm.
will be able to do that with practice, with I mean, in India, we call it tapasya, which means determined, consistent
Hmm.
action on a daily basis. So
Hmm.
as you work towards that, you will be able to connect. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. You just got to be able to close your eyes, go within, and bring the focus within yourself to be able to connect to the higher realms.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. The fifth myth and the final myth I've got here is Akashic records can't be combined with other spiritual tools or modalities.
They can be, of course, they can be. It totally depends on how you want to experiment and work with the records and how creative you are.
Yeah.
I've known people who, and I too have downloaded artwork from the Akashic Records. So you can download artwork. In fact, I downloaded some artwork and I've never ever painted in my life, so deeply.
Hmm.
Sorry, but I did that and I created a few paintings and I got my first art show and I even sold paintings. I was like, how is this even possible? And I was so happy that some people actually bought my paintings and they were like, we're going to put it in our bedroom or we're going to put it here. And I was so excited. So a lot of creativity is possible. People can sing by accessing the Akashic sounds. You can, of course, include energy healing or whatever else is needed. So, yeah,
Hmm.
like I said, possibilities are endless.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's interesting. So thank you for taking us through those five myths and really clearing it out for us. And that's quite helpful for me too, because I've been quite curious and I have, um, there are a lot of other healing modalities that you come across because they're popular. And Akashic Records is something that I've heard of, but I've never kind of dwelled into it or even try to understand what it is. But thank you for taking us through that. And what I would maybe like you to do, Ashmeeta, is share with us what your journey has been like, because I know that, and this is true because every guest I talk to, because it is so focused on women into alternative healing, into their healing journeys, and to kind of have these spiritual gifts, you might have had to go through life and go through your own journey to be here. So what was it like for you?
Yeah, so it started when everything started to fall, everything started to crumble. I was 17 or 18, I'm not sure now, but I was quite young and everything started to just crumple down, go downhill into the downward spiral, reaching the very rock bottom of things and really wondering that there's something wrong, something deeply wrong in my life. Things are not working out. That's when I started to seek out for help and support.
Mm,
And initially, I received some help and support from people around me. I used to go on these groups, on these Facebook groups, which were on psychic development or groups with all the psychics, and I would get really intrigued and interested by them. And, I would go there and write my problems. This is what I'm going through, and they would help me very compassionately and beautifully. They would, give their advice or whatever was coming from them, and that's how I basically was able to sustain that rock bottom for myself. And slowly I started to move beyond it and work towards learning how to take care of myself. That's when I met my mentor, my first mentor. I remember writing in one of the Facebook groups that I'm looking for a meditation center nearby.
mm,
And um, so my mentor replied that this is where I am and you can come and meet me. And the moment I met her, I felt so seen by her. I felt that there is something that is going on that I don't know, but I feel very familiar. And cut to, I had my first channeling session with her. I didn't know what I had signed up for. I didn't know what was going to happen in that particular session, but something in me told me that I need to go for it. And at that time, it seemed quite expensive because I've never, spent so much money on a session that I don't know what's going to happen in.
mm,
But now that I see that it was actually worth so much more than what I
mm,
paid for. It was a very small amount. When I entered that session, she started to trance channel, and that was the first time I was witnessing someone trance channeling, which means where they would close their eyes and they would let the angels speak through them. So that was my first interaction with the angelic beings.
mm,
And the way they spoke to me, it shook me to the core because they told me who am I as a soul? What am I here for? My purpose. So a lot was revealed from that point onwards.
mm,
And my next task was to just believe in that and to focus on that and to align with that.
mm,
From there on, I met many mentors and teachers who helped me through various modalities. One was Akashic Records. And Akashic Records was a place where I found very, very, like, I found a home in. I
mm,
felt very, very calm and at home here as compared to any other kind of modality or even coaching, because I got certified as a coach as well, as a Helio Life teacher as well, which is Louise Hay's work on self-love and
mm,
healing. So while I did a lot of that and few other modalities, this is where I found home in. And then, of course, my only thing was to continue working on myself and continue growing. And that's where I am today with all the different lessons, growth, spurts, and yeah, different teachers who've guided me along the way.
That's really, really interesting. And it's interesting how you started your journey. You said this was a time where you were kind of low, you hit rock bottom. I guess there's one kind of turn that comes in everyone's life where it is a change, but it at the time looks very bad, but it's for good. It's a lot of transformation that has occurred in your entire journey to kind of get to where you are now. So that's incredible. Anyway, congratulations for that and for making it this far. I'm sure it was not easy, and it was like a roller coaster ride, I'm sure. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. And with the Akashic records, now do you need to have people in person, or can you do them online or remotely?
Yeah, I mostly do my sessions online.
Hmm.
It also saves a lot of time, and I am learning to be more of an in-person person, but I'm more of a online person right now. So it can be done both ways, and but mostly it is done, I do it online.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you had any experiences with your clients where you might, when, it just kind of you went into shock or kind of learning something that's it's not normal for you? Did you have any experiences like that?
I feel all of my sessions are like that. Like every session I go into, I'm not sure what I'm going to discover, what's going to happen, and where it's going to lead me. But each and every session is very, very surprising because it
Mhm.
leads to whether it is someone's past life or just understanding the relationship dynamics. Like currently, I'm working a lot on relationship dynamics, on karma healing,
Mhm.
especially with people who have certain complicated relationship dynamics in their lives. So when I am connecting with the clients and I go into the records to discover like what's really happening within the relationships, I'm often taken back to their past life where they have continued that same pattern, or where they had the same pattern and they've continued in their present life.
Mm.
So a lot of people might see karma as what goes around comes around, what you give, so shall you reap.
Mm.
For me, I don't see many of those timelines. Let's say if someone is being abused in this lifetime, I mostly don't see them being the abuser in their previous lifetime.
Mhm.
I mostly see that they have been abused even in their past lives, and they couldn't just break through that whole pattern, and they couldn't learn the lesson, and their lesson was to stand up for themselves, to be assertive, to
Mm.
speak their truth, to love themselves, and to walk out if needed. But they could never come out of that karmic cycle, so it has just continued in this lifetime. So a
Mm.
lot of times my work with them is to help them understand and to help them really stand firmly and speak their truth and believe in themselves. So a lot of that work is what I specialize in, and those are the kind of people that I attract as well. So when
Mm.
I see their past lives, a lot of times, especially with people with complicated family dynamics, where they wonder that this person doesn't have the best of intentions for them, but they are not able to really confirm. It's just a doubt,
Mm.
so they suffer around that person, but it's a doubt that they may or may not think the best of me, so they spend a lot of their times trying to receive validation and approval from
Mm.
these people who mistreat them.
Yeah.
And when I go into the past life, there's so many times I've discovered how this person has abused them mercilessly, even in the past lives. And because the timelines were more dense and more of the dense incidents could take place before this, and there was less, the law and order was not that strong, people would
Mm.
get away with,
Yeah.
right? So I have literally seen them mercilessly mistreat them. Some I've seen people being burned alive a lot of times. I've seen people like hung. I mean, so many different lifetimes I've
Mm.
seen for them in the past. So that has led to really um, so my work basically is to help them and remind them that what you're thinking, that this person doesn't have the best of intentions for you. It
Mhm.
is time for you to agree, like to accept that and to really see that,
Yeah.
because they come from a very people-pleasing space. So they want to see the best in the other person. But some of my job is to help them realize that, hey, what you're thinking is right. Your doubts are correct. You're not overthinking. You're not overreacting.
Mm.
That doubt in your mind that this person doesn't have your best interests in their mind is
Mm.
true. So a lot of my work involves that. Another interesting thing was I met a king once recently. I met a king of this beautiful kingdom, and when I met him, I knew that we've met in the past lives. I knew that we have connected, and I have sort of helped this king navigate through some things in their lives where they were
Mm.
confused about some aspects. So I'm sitting there in front of the king and I'm like, oh, I have met you before, and we have spoken, and I'm so like and I have no clue why I'm reacting like that, because that person in this lifetime appears to be totally normal, but I'm just
Yeah.
feeling within me, or my soul is remembering that this is the king. So I'm happy and I'm just in awe, and there's no reason for me
Mm.
to be generally. But when I'm seeing them as the king, I'm just in awe that the king has come. And that was very interesting for me.
Mm.
In this life, they had chosen, they had definitely had chosen royalty,
Mm.
but as compared to the previous lifetimes where they were the kings, there, of course, they've
Mm.
chosen much less royalty and more of self-growth and self-reflection in this lifetime. So that was quite surprising for me, and I had a lot of fun
Yeah.
with
You know,
discovering that.
it's very interesting because while you were talking about your experience of in a relationship and what kind of work you do, I kept on thinking in my head, I want to ask her if she's met a king. It kept coming to me, and I was like, I want to ask her if she's met a king. I don't know why. And then you just talk about the king. I was like in my head,
Oh yeah, our guides might be guiding us, because even when I was speaking about the relationship, I suddenly remembered, hey, you met the king. Why
yeah.
not talk about
Oh,
it?
wow, so interesting. It is. Oh God. Okay. Um, and have you had any other experiences of this kind? Of course, you've shared a couple, but this is really interesting. If you would like to share another example, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many times I meet people's higher selves.
Mm.
And that to me is so beautiful, because each time I meet their higher selves, they give me a gift. Like they tell me that this person has this gift, this person had that gift. So one of the other specialities that I think my soul carries is to be able to recognize the gift that the other person carries, and
Mm.
to be able to see them in their highest potential, like what is possible for them. And so when I meet people's higher selves, they literally tell me that this person has this gift, and you must tell them. And when I tell them, they say that we've always been interested in this, but we've never, taken it seriously.
Mm.
Let's say, some kind of an intuitive massage or working with essential oils. So the higher self reveals to me what their soul gifts and their soul blueprint and their potential is.
Mm.
Um, so I don't have the book with me, but my sister has written a book, and this book is called Your Soul's Next Level. It is available on Amazon, and she's
Yeah.
self-published it. Before it was out, I saw that book and I told her exactly, like, this is the color of the book. The first time I told her that you're going to be a writer, she
Mhm.
didn't believe me. She's like, what do you mean? Why are you even saying that? I don't want to be a writer. Like that's not me. Like, why are you even saying that? So complete rejection of that. And I'm like, okay. But then again, when I met her in better circumstances, I told her that, I do see a book. Then she started to believe. And then we started to really see that vision together more clearly. And I told her it's a book on connecting with your intuition. It is yellow in color, and I was able to tell her those details, and now it is finally a reality. It is a physical book, and now when I see it, I'm like, this is real. What we saw, we've actually birthed it into reality.
Mm.
And it actually happened. So a lot of times I'm able to see that for people, like this is what's possible for you. So go in that direction, do this, do that. So
Mm.
I think that really helps people realign to their highest destiny as compared to living the lower timelines, and instead of that align to their highest timeline of what is possible and what kind of potential do they carry. And we often, all of us, need someone who can see us completely and see our potential completely. And I'm grateful, that my guides choose me as a channel for that many times.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Thank you for sharing that story with us here. I think when it does come from a personal level, it has more impact as well. So I will definitely check that book out, and I will definitely link it in the description for our audiences to go check it out as well. Sounds quite interesting. So thank you for sharing that, Ashmeeta. As you were talking about how you get these visions of you've seen people being burned alive, they have hung themselves and in the past lives. So how do these kind of visions come? Do they come in a story? When you actually do sit down to create or access the Akashic records, how does it actually take place? Just maybe if you can walk us through the steps of how it is done. Um, because I'm not sure myself how it's done. So it'll be kind of nice to hear it from you.
Sure. So when I open the records, first of all, I don't know what's going to come out. So I'm completely oblivious to what's going to come through. Then slowly I see a vision, I communicate, I tell them this is what I'm seeing, to the next,
Mm.
to the next. So it is like a movie unfolding, a storyline unfolding. And in the initial bit, I'm not able to make sense. But as I go along and I keep communicating, I'm able to put things and piece things together and then summarize it as a full story that, okay, this is what really happened.
Okay.
Um, so it goes like one chapter at a time for me.
Mm. So how long does it take usually a session?
It takes around 1 hour, where
Mhm.
the first 15 minutes are about understanding where the person is at, what are the challenges they're facing, what are the suffering cycles they're moving through, and
Mm.
then we lead them through a small meditation and open the records, and then we sort of go deeper into seeing what's the core and the root of the suffering. Where did it start? Why did it start?
Mm.
Uh, in this life or past life, or is it from the ancestral lineage?
Right.
So it can also come in from the ancestral lineage, and they may just be the ones to clear it, not only for themselves, but also free their ancestors and their future ancestors,
Mm.
which is, their children. So, someone told me the reason why we call them our future ancestors is because we reincarnate in the soul group many times.
Yeah.
So they could just be ancestors waiting to come back, and when we just clear it, life gets easier for them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I never thought of it like that. Okay. And I guess the other question I really have is in terms of, you talked about how people go through life, go through struggles because it's coming from their past life. And there are these lessons they need to learn. Either is, they need to stand up for themselves or be assertive. Um, so how can people kind of start recognizing or accessing tools? So what are the tools that they can use? Of course, they can go to a person like yourself to find out where are the blocks and where they can work on themselves. But apart from that, for our listeners, if you can maybe walk us through some of the practical tools that they can use. So one of the tools I think you mentioned was practicing gratitude and seeing how our lives just gets easier instead of just complaining all the time, right? So how does that work? And what are some of the other tools that we can probably use on a daily basis uh, that can, really help us get through life?
Yeah, so I feel that, of course, gratitude is one thing that practicing it will definitely change your life. Like I'm
Mm.
practicing it. I left it in between for some time and I restarted, my practice. And every time I practice Gratitude, I see shifts. I see more abundance flowing. I see more of what I want to experience coming into my life simply because I am giving out a vibration to the universe that I'm grateful for it. So universe says, okay, more of it for you. Right? So that is very, very significantly the best practice that you can inculcate in your life for the betterment of your soul and its evolution. Apart from that, I would also say just meditating on, let's say, a mantra or just connecting with your higher self will completely, shift and change your day-to-day life because you can receive daily guidance on what is to be done. A lot of times I'm not able to do that daily, and that's okay. You utilize this especially in times of great transition or when I'm going through a transformation or I need a much needed change in my life and I'm feeling stuck. Those are the times when you can deeply connect with your higher self, whether it's through a mantra, just something that clears your channel. So the reason why I say mantra, because it clears your channels and it makes you available for receiving divine guidance.
Okay.
So otherwise, we're not available. So, they say the divine is always with us, but are we available to the divine?
Yeah.
So we have to make ourselves available for that. So any kind of sound frequency, mantra, or even just meditation can help us open our channels to receiving. And when we're in the receptive mode and we consciously say that I'm ready to receive the guidance that you have for me, it can start flowing in. And then we can start, being guided in that particular direction. Another thing for people who are stuck in the karmic cycles, who are not able to break free or who feel that the same pattern in their life is repeating over and over again, for them, it would be very helpful to ask this particular question as to what is my lesson here, right? This question opens the portal for soul evolution.
Yeah. What is a karmic cycle? How would you define it?
So a karmic cycle would be when a soul is suffering through a similar pattern over and over again. It's like you're almost stuck in the mud and you're just going deeper into the mud and you're not able to get yourself out of it. Um, so it's, let's say, attracting emotionally unavailable partners over and over again, attracting cheating partners, attracting the same kind of abuse, whether at home, workplace, college, wherever you are, where you meet the same kind of bosses, the same kind of partners, the same kind of friendships. You are betrayed in the same way. So it's like someone's hitting on the wound that's already there and making it worse. So if you feel like that, where you feel stuck and suffering is just continuing, it's not stopping, whether it's in your career, like you go 2 steps ahead and then come 1 step behind, where you try so hard, but you're not able to accomplish what you desire. If you're constantly feeling a similar emotion again and again, you are in a karmic cycle, which means that something that your soul wants you to learn, but you're not clearing that lesson. So it's like you're stuck at grade 5 and you're not able to move beyond to grade 6. And you can't unless you learn the lesson that grade 5 has for you. So even though you'll really beg to the universe that, just make it easy for me or like, give me this, the universe will not give you this because you've not really learned the lesson. It's like you haven't passed the exam and you're begging the teacher to pass you. But the teacher will be like, go study, prepare, come back, give. It's okay. We're here for you.
Yes. Okay. Very interestingly put. Thank you so much for that. Sometimes I feel it's good to kind of break things down, especially for our listeners who have probably are just getting started or having a sneak peek at, spirituality or just getting into it. So I think that's a good way to kind of put it. And it makes sense. So thank you for that. And it has been, so interesting talking with you, Ashmeeta, today. But sadly, we have come to an end of a podcast, so we'll have to wrap it up. But before we go, I would love you to kind of close off to say any final thing or a quote that you may believe in that might help our listeners today. So go for it.
I love this quote by Wayne Dyer where he says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Amazing.
So I'm not sure whether he basically read it off of a book, so he didn't really write the quote, but he would repeat it often and he would teach about it, and he would say that when you change your perspective, you shift your perspective about something in life, possibilities open up. But when you're looking at the same thing from a same particular lens, you only see blockages. But change your perspective, see it from another lens, and you'll be able to see a different route, a different possibility will open up for you. And I love that quote because it is so empowering.
Yes, it is. And I love it too. Thank you for sharing. And I think with that, we'll have to wrap up today's episode. Again, Ashmeeta, thank you so much for coming on Sipping on Stories podcast. It has been incredibly amazing having you, and we have learned so much more about Akashic Records. So thank you, and a little cheers for you. I wish you all the best. I love your cat mug, by the way. I was going to say I'm a big cat lover. So thank you for bringing the cup along and making my day.
Thank you. Hope you have a fantastic day ahead. And thank you, everyone who watched this.
Yeah, thank you so much.